If the new president of the United States remains so appreciated by a large part of the American population, it is because his protectionist program, Defending America First, has convinced many. Now, let's take an overview of the 5 most important measures announced by Donald Trump. Against immigration, Donald Trump has proposed the largest deportation program in American history. He describes a migratory invasion, with hordes that poison the blood of America. Just like in 2016 and 2020, Trump has made the fight against immigration the keystone of his entire campaign. This includes using an ever more dehumanizing and xenophobic vocabulary, along with firmer measures than ever before. Trump wants to reintroduce measures from his first term, such as the Muslim ban, which prohibits entry into the United States to citizens from certain Muslim-majority countries, and the Remain in Mexico program, which requires Mexican asylum seekers to remain in their country until their hearing in the United States. But he also assures that he will launch the largest deportation program in American history against illegal immigrants, promising to expel several million of them. "I will save every city in America that has been invaded and conquered. These cities have been conquered, and we will put these vicious and bloodthirsty criminals in prison, or we will kick them out of our country as quickly as possible," he repeated again during a rally last week in Arizona. The tone is set. Customs duties and economic protectionism. America first? On the economic front, Donald Trump still intends to implement a protectionist policy. In particular, he plans to introduce customs duties of at least 10% on all imports, a level that would rise to 60% for products from China, the ultimate commercial enemy. After 75 years, other countries will finally repay us for everything we have been able to do for the world, the Republican president assured during his debate against Kamala Harris. This is seen as a way to lower inflation, although many economists contest this, and to encourage companies to produce again in the United States. But it's also a way to finance large tax cuts for companies and individuals, as he had done during his first term. The hoax of climate change. Faced with inflation that is hitting American households hard, Donald Trump also has another promise: to halve energy costs. To do this, he plans to invest massively in the energy sector on American soil, particularly fossil fuels such as gas and oil. "We're going to drill like crazy," he boasted to his supporters. And this, regardless of the consequences on climate change, which Trump describes in any case as a hoax or a great green scam. He wants to once again withdraw the United States from the Paris Climate Agreement and put an end to the environmental component of the Biden presidency's Inflation Reduction Act, which aimed to invest massively in the decarbonization of the American economy. An education system that promotes American values. It is impossible to talk about Donald Trump's election without mentioning his conservatism on societal issues, particularly on education. The Republican president intends to remake schools safe learning environments, free from political interference, and which promote a love of country with authentic civic education, accusing the left of propaganda in schools. To do this, Donald Trump wants to first eliminate the Federal Department of Education, leaving the competence on this subject to the states. But this project is at odds with his plan to threaten budget cuts to schools that would teach subjects such as the systemic nature of racism and discrimination, or so-called gender indoctrination. "We are going to drain the swamp of education and put an end to the misuse of taxpayer dollars to indoctrinate the youth of America with all sorts of things that you don't want them to hear," he thus affirmed at a rally last September in Wisconsin. For the war in Ukraine, Kiev's concerns. While the American presidential election may have repercussions throughout the world, one capital will follow the results with more fear than anywhere else: Kiev. While Donald Trump has never hidden his opposition to American economic and military aid for Ukraine, the more than tense meeting between the Republican president and Volodymyr Zelensky on September 27th had hinted at their possible future diplomatic relationship. While Donald Trump assures that he will end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours when he takes possession of the Oval Office again, his program only mentions his desire to restore peace in Europe, enough to raise fears of a peace agreement with terms more than satisfactory for Vladimir Putin.